Hi, good evening, everyone. Hope you're all doing great. Hi, Andra. Um, Thanks to those of you that are joining us. I announced earlier that I'll be doing this live stream at 8. This live stream will be focused on Eskom and the truth about Eskom. And I will be telling you things that I haven't mentioned in public before, not on this channel. And hopefully, you can get this information out there so that more people can actually get this information. So, hi, Ellen. So, this is literally going to be a truth serum session on Eskom. You can ask me questions. We will have a bit of interaction later on. But the important thing is that you get to the bottom of what has happened at Eskom in the past. I mean, I started there in 1992, and I'm still involved with the power generation industry right now. Welcome to all of you coming into this live stream. I hope that there are many people from the public that'll end up watching this. I really want you to share this link. I've done this impromptu, so we don't have any problems in this live stream. And I really want you to share this. The information I'm going to share you today will shock many people, but it needs to be told. You need to know where the problem lied in the beginning, where the interference started in Eskom from politics, and how it influenced the people within Eskom. And I'm going to be very brutal and honest with you. So it's going to be very revealing. And I think because of that, this video is going to be shared widely. And hopefully, people across the world can watch it and learn from not the mistakes of the people in government now, the callousness, the absolute dejected depravity of people that we call our political leaders, because we have a corrupt political system. Even our Concord has said that our current system that elects our leaders is illegal and unconstitutional. So the whole bunch that's sitting there now, they are all a bunch of illegal. I want to end the word with tards at the end, okay? Something with a retard, something tard at the end. Let me just leave it there. These people are a huge problem, and they started the demise of Eskom. Eskom was set up with skill sets. The people that worked there were trained the best out of any industry out there in South Africa. The people were trained en masse. Everyone was taught, whether you were a clerk, a cleaner, it doesn't matter what you did, a manager, you got training all the time, the best training that was available in the country on a large scale. I'm not saying that people on smaller scale didn't get very specific niche training, but within Eskom, you got some of the most complex training that anyone could receive, especially in the nuclear industry. I started in 1992 at Koeberg Nuclear Power Station. I became a licensed reactor operator, then a senior instructor, then an engineering consultant, and later a project manager. So I've been through the mill in the nuclear industry within Eskom, and I've seen the changes. And at a place like Koeberg, I saw post 1994 how the political changes happened within Eskom, and that was the beginning of the end. And if you actually look at the transition idea within South Africa, I have nothing against that. To transition and give people a chance to improve themselves and learn and grow is a stunning thing. There's one problem within Eskom. Eskom wanted all its power stations to represent the demographic of the country. It doesn't matter if it was in the Western Cape, if it's in the Northern Cape, or wherever the power station was. And the problem with that was simple. We battled to find the people to be that representative within the Western Cape when I worked at Koeberg Nuclear Power Station. So we had to go to other provinces. It took us take us years to find enough people to even bring a group of people together to be trained to do specific high level things and specifically to become licensed reactor operators. And I've spoken about that in the past, that whole transition, how that happened. And Eskom today is completely and utterly inclusive. Transformation and transition is one thing. And a lot of people might be against it, a lot of people might be for it. But when you start appointing cadres in senior positions within Eskom, that is when things started falling flat. I will tell you about an event, a specific event that happened at Kubik Nuclear Power Station. This was around 1996, where my shift manager came to me and said at the time, all of you need to justify your jobs. We currently have a certain amount of people working at Kubik, and I think it was 800 and something at the time. We can cut it down to 500 people. There was a huge drive to cut down the amount of people that worked within Eskom. And that is what Ian McRae wanted at the time. He wanted the large workforce cut down to the bare minimum. He said that Eskom needs to supply electricity as cheap as possible. Everyone should be used as efficiently as possible. He doesn't want any dead wood. But then something else came along. And this was literally the BEE concept, a concept that came from the African National Congress, not from government. You need to understand the difference. It comes from a party that had control in government, that implemented a process that literally annihilated most of the people that was working within Eskom that really felt that this was their career. They're going to stay there for the rest of their life. They're going to look after their families and just be hardworking. And I'll tell you about this one specific event. And I want to thank all of you for joining me. And I've spoken about this in an interview with someone else in the past, but I'm going to tell you about it now in a public forum. We were called to a place at Kuburg that bears a past power station manager's name. It's like an arena area where everyone can sit and there's a stage in front. And the deputy power station manager called us there. I knew this person very well. He's passed on since. And he used to run the cricket club in Malpostrand and was loved by many people, hated by many others. But I got along with him just fine. He was a very senior manager at the power station, and he called specifically all the white men to go and meet him there. Now, we found this strange. And I'm so sad that I have to use color today, but this is true history that I need to tell you about. And I remember being on shift at the time and receiving this notification that I must go there because I'm white. Now, I was working with many other colleagues from other backgrounds, religions, etc., and we were all getting along like a house on fire. Now we have to go to this place, and all these men from one so-called ethnic group, because of their skin color, has to rock up at this place. And there, this deputy power station manager stood. I think at the time he was also the head of engineering. And he said one simple thing: if you cannot all justify your jobs, you should just resign. He said that any of you that are deadwood should resign immediately. He in fact pointed at one of the managers that had been at Kubik for years, the manager that was the head of the chemistry department, and said to him, "You should resign first." He pointed at him, called him by name, and said, "You should resign." What we didn't know is that his bonus at the end of the year depended on him getting a certain quota in place at Kubik Nuclear Power Station. And I really don't care what happens to me. The country needs to know what went down for real. And this is not anything against anyone that came in as part of the transition where the numbers grew from 800 to over 2,000 people today, where there's a larger workforce, a lot of training, etc. happening. Still, while the station is very profitable. What happened then was shocking. Absolutely shocking. What do you think those men felt at that moment? These people were highly experienced, highly skilled technicians, engineers, managers. No one was spared. Senior managers, departmental managers, group managers, everyone was a part of this. You should just resign group. I wonder what would have happened if we all just did resign that day. All of us just resigned and walked out. There was way over 100 people that attended that session, and more sessions happened subsequently as many people work shifts, etc. You can imagine, how do you go back on shift and feel that you can continue within the organization? Now, just think back on the apartheid years and what happened then, and how people felt when they were literally distinguished because of their skin color. I certainly felt what that was like. And most of the other men there did too. But this is where Eskom's problems started. Most of these people could justify their jobs, were good hard workers, and stayed on. None of them left, not even that engineering man, that chemistry manager. He stayed on until the day that he retired. But think about what this caused within the organization. Many of these men refused to transfer their skills to new people that came in. They just said, we're not going to do it because we've been treated like rubbish. We were told we were never going to get any promotions. And we were told in that meeting, you would not progress beyond where you are absolutely necessary. Other people will be advanced above and in front of you. We were told that. So it was literally, you were told that you're at the end of your career, you can stuff off now. That's what happened. I want to welcome the 400 people that came in. If you came in late, please go and watch the beginning of this video so that you can understand what happened. Where all these people, white men, were called together at one place, and they were told that if you can't prove why you should absolutely be here, you should resign and get out of Eskom. You're unwelcome. Now, in my young mind at that time, I was in my early 20s. I was just about ready to build my first house. To literally be told that is shocking to the core. Now, just understand that this had happened for many years to many people in this country. Many people. I'm explaining to you how the demise started in Eskom. I wonder if meetings like that took place at other power stations too. I don't know. No one has given me that kind of information, but I was physically there. That was the start and the beginning of the end. Because now you sat with all these grysbaarde, these guys that have been in Eskom for years. They're part of the furniture, and they said, stuff it. I will not transfer my knowledge to the next guy. Massive loss of knowledge immediately. Massive. And I'm sure that if you see what happened in the rest of Eskom, this is exactly what played out. Now the government is begging these people to come back and help. I've been asked to come back and help. And I have been helping. And I'm glad to help because I believe that it's my patriotic duty to do that. That when skills have been transferred to you, when you've been trained your whole life, that you should give that back. It's important that you do that. But keep politics out of it. So I had no problem with a transition and training people and helping people. Most of the new people that came in was assigned to me to train them, especially the people that struggled. I was asked to help them, and I had huge success. I had all the patience in the world. I didn't see color. I became friends with people, and I could train them and help them until they mastered whatever they needed to. And that was an awesome process. And it's so awesome to be in an organization like that today, where you don't have to go through times like that, because I don't think it was necessary for those meetings to have been called with the damage that it created to do a transition. It wasn't necessary. It's incredible how people naturally change and adapt to that change, and how acceptable people are of that change. That is what I have experienced throughout my life. So as a manager to try and force something on you and make you feel like a piece of rubbish after everything that you have done in your time there is uncalled for and unacceptable. But it happened. It happened. And today I'm laying it bare for you. What had happened next? For transition to happen is not a problem. I had no problem transferring skills, and I trained people as much as I could, and I absolutely loved it. I was a senior instructor when the first fast-track licensed operator group started at Coburg, and I absolutely loved training these people. It took forever to actually gather them from around the country and give them the training that they needed. And they needed additional help. They needed additional time on the plant, etc. They couldn't fast-track the group or the course, and they needed to go through the same process that everyone else did to actually achieve the end goal. And they are very capable managers and plant operators today. But there were no shortcuts. The shortcuts did not work. They will never work. So the moment you put cadres into senior positions within Eskom, in Megawatt Park, into the board, etc., where I'm speaking now at power station level, I'm talking about right at the top. What do you think happens? What do you think when the Rothschilds wants to get one of their playboys onto the Eskom board, and the Eskom CEO refuses to make that appointment, and then he has to resign at the end of that month? When these things went down and global elites tried to infiltrate Eskom, control Eskom, I can tell you now they are in full control right now. The control is there, it's fully accomplished, it's done. And that is why I said during my Double O Days tour that there's three things that will happen in this country. The first thing that will happen is the Zulu kingdom will be destroyed. The second thing that will happen is Eskom will be destroyed. And the third thing that will happen will be the secession battle. And then the country will fold. If those things are successful, the country will fold. What does that mean? It means it cannot bear a semblance of civility anymore. In other words, government breaks down, the people don't trust the government anymore. And I can tell you with stage 6 load shedding and more, civil breakdown is inevitable. And this is why I made my earlier video where I said that Pravin Gordhan is now blaming Eskom for sabotage. What utter nonsense. There might be individuals or contractors that are at Eskom power stations that have performed sabotage. It's not even been 2% of the breakdowns that have been due to sabotage. So don't come and say that it's sabotage that's causing this. Just like they did during the router incident when the ANC was struggling during the elections then, and they came up with their sabotage nonsense. They did it back then as well. So at the moment, what is the truth? They put cadres in place after the transition started in senior positions at Megawatt Park. And then they tried to get people at power stations at senior levels across the country. Cadres were put in place, people that were beholden to the ANC and specific factions within the ANC. And the moment that happened, the capture was complete. And it's not state capture by anything outside the country. It is state capture by the current ruling party. They wanted to control everything. And they wanted to pillage and steal everything. It's like a big clique. And at the end of the day, the people that pay them their money are the people that control the outcomes. It is that simple. And the outcome is that Eskom had to fail. Why did Eskom have to fail? For one simple reason. If the country fails, the United Nations, the US, the UK can walk in here and they can be our saviors. They can put an interim government in place and then they can start implementing all of their Agenda 2030 plans. And that is the beginning and the end of it. This is the plan for South Africa. Mark this year. 2025 is the year that their plans are earmarking for this government to have completely failed. Completely and utterly failed. Think about those repercussions. And the secession battle will be used to get it to that point completely. If you actually look at how Eskom has gone from the world's best utility, the world's best utility. We had the best transmission line infrastructure. We designed it ourselves. Other countries learned from us. We built some of the best dry-cooled coal-fired power stations. We put in new technology. South Africa was an inventive country. But the moment the African National Congress could capture Eskom completely with their cadres from a specific faction, it was tickets. And I have to bring you the truth now. We will have load shedding all the way up to 2030, if not longer, if not forever, if we do not build new generating capacity that can handle baseload. At the moment, they are planning, and you would have maybe seen the articles, to put in these battery banks. 8 megawatt battery bank going to cost 11 billion rand. People, we cannot allow this utter tripe to continue. It has to be stopped at all cost. We have to stop what Eskom and the senior management in Eskom that are captured to the teeth, what they are doing right now. None of the math adds up. Go and look at the numbers yourself. When you put a battery on the grid that gets power from the grid, all it can do is, when the grid is struggling at a specific point, it can put power back into the grid. You lose all the efficiency of charging that flippin' thing. They are not even being charged by solar panels or wind turbines or anything else. The current grid will be charging it. It is utter madness. How can we go and build? And the CSIR made a statement recently, and I was so happy when they did this. With regards to all of these power lines that they want to run into the middle of nowhere, to where they have to build solar panels and wind farms, where there's no demand for electricity. There's no demand in most of these places. So now you have to transmit the power over these moors-long power lines to get it to the places where it's needed. It is madness. You lose so many megawatts when you have to transfer or transmit that power over a long distance. It's insanity. If you do not understand grid design, go and study grid design, how it works. And most of the people commenting on SABC 1, 2, and 3, and ETV and Mnet and whatever the heck is running a news program and every radio station that's never worked on the grid. Don't listen to them. They know nothing about the power grid. I guarantee you that. I've not heard one flippant person that technically knows what's going on. Not one. Whether they're professors, whether they are editors of electrical engineering magazines, or whatever the heck, these people have no clue what they're talking about. And everyone is an energy analyst or an energy expert. My wife can be an energy analyst. I analyze that the power is off right now. Come on. It is a joke. I'm giving it to you as a real expert that understands the electricity grid, that can go into a lot of technical and scientific detail, if I have to, in a conversation with you on one-on-one, explain how the grid works and how you need to stabilize the grid, how you need to distribute on the grid, and how you need to build power close to where it is needed. So you don't have to transmit it over gazillions of miles. We are currently going to build, I don't know how many thousands of kilometers of power lines worth over 200 billion rand to get to useless power stations. They're not even power stations. Solar farms and propeller farms. It is madness. For Pete's sake, put up a wind turbine at your home, or put up solar panels at your home, or at your community, or at your business, or within your neighborhood. Do that, absolutely. Become power independent if you can. But on a large scale grid, with large industries, with smelters and all sorts of things. Don't come to me with an 8 megawatt battery that is going to cost 11 billion rand. Granted, there has to be more batteries involved in that amount. I mean, you cannot tell me that an 8 megawatt battery is going to cost 11 billion. It's impossible. So they probably misprinted that, and they probably meant that all the other little local bits and pieces that's going to make up the difference. Then they come out with articles where they say, oh, we are burning waste somewhere and we are producing 12 or 15 megawatts or whatever. What the flip, man? One stage of load shedding is 1,000 freaking megawatts. We are short 6,000 megawatts, and they're farting around with nonsense. It drives me insane. It's absolute madness. And if the public don't start speaking out in mass, how on earth are we going to fix this? Eskom is now telling you that we are going to have load shedding till 2027, people. That is 5 freaking years from now. What guarantees they, with their 8 megawatt batteries and the other crap that they want to put on the grid, that we are going to survive by then? It's not freaking possible. At some stage, it has to improve. Either we need to have the funds to get off the freaking grid and not be dependent on Eskom, which most people don't have, or we need to actually stabilize things within Eskom. And I can tell you now, the focus is not there. The focus is not on using the best coal in South Africa at the coal-fired power stations. What's the first thing that Goran or Gueremantashe should have done? They should have said, stop exporting the best freaking coal. You will drop it off at the Eskom power stations and fill those stockyards. And stop getting the flippin' mills to see their backside and make sure that the forced draft fans don't have to run at maximum on their veins. Do you know that 6,000 megawatts on our grid right now is lost due to inefficiencies because of crap coal? 6,000 megawatts. You are not told that. I'm telling you that now. Because the flippin' our presidents actually do not want to fix the problem, or they are too stupid to fix the problem. They are not capable. They don't have the basic understanding of energy or electricity. Pravin Gordhan was a flippant pharmacist, for Pete's sake. How is he supposed to know anything about fixing the grid? But he says that Eskom is sabotaging the country with stage 6 load shedding. They must stop it immediately. Load shedding is an absolute must to stabilize the grid. The fact that load shedding is working is saving us from a blackout. Tell that to stupid Pravin Gordhan. Why the heck is he a minister? He should resign. We literally need drastic mentality change, and really fast, because we are not going to make it as a country, and we will have these other overseas bastards walking into our country and taking over this government, because we're not even willing to run the government in this country. We want to sit back and let some other freaking idiot run it. That's what's happening right now. So, people, all I can tell you is we are in serious freaking trouble, and not from a blackout. We cannot run on a stage 6 economy. You can't even run on a stage 4 economy. This flippant thing here cannot handle stage 6 load shedding. It cannot freaking do it. So we need to change the way we do things, and fast. People in civil society need to say, we have freaking had it now. This government is not our government anymore. We are the government. You need to flip and roll. Change the system fast. And the best way that that can happen is for there to be a 2-year transition period where they say, listen here, we need to listen to what the Concord has said, that we need to create a new electoral system, and we create an interim government that's from here, not from the freaking US or from the UK or from the United Nations at all, and actually sort out the twak and give the people some hope. Because if it doesn't happen, how will we survive to 2027? with Eskom the way it is now, with people from America wanting to run the show. How can you allow a foreign country to come here and tell you how to run Eskom? It's absolute madness. And any manager that does it has no backbone. You're not a patriot. You are a pansy. It is really shocking to see what is happening right now. Shocking. People, I really want to thank you for joining this live stream. Please just share this so as many people as possible can watch this. But this is Eskom's history. I can go into so much more detail. But I gave you the part that brought us to where we are now. When that white paper came out in 1998, it told us exactly what we needed to do. The ANC government, Thabo Mbeki, said, no, we're not going to do it. He said it. At least he later apologized and said I was wrong. You can't cock up with things like this. You cannot stuff it up. And the fact that you just carried on with your life, couldn't give a toss until load shedding started and getting worse and getting worse and getting worse. I'm telling you, we are sitting with 48,000 megawatts of installed capacity. In 10 years' time, half of that is not going to be available anymore because the plants are actually freaking old. There's actually idiots out there that believe that no, Eskom can run all of that plant. There's nothing wrong with them. Load shedding is on purpose. You're freaking mad in the head. We are actually, for real, in deep crap. Get it into your skull, please. I think I need to calm down now because I get really flippin' upset. People, you need to understand how much crap we are in. You cannot keep a country stable with level 6 load shedding. People's fridges are going to freaking rot. You're not going to be able to keep your food cold. You're not going to be able to run any kind of industry. You can sustain nothing at that level. And the other thing I want to tell you, we are a net importer of power. We are getting in 1,200 megawatts from Kawarabasa. We are even bringing in power from Namibia and sometimes from Botswana. So don't come and tell me that we are exporting all our power to other countries. Don't just stop talking twak. We are currently supplying 23,000 megawatts if we are lucky. At least that's enough not for the grid to black out. And all we are doing is controlled blackouts in area. That's what load shedding is. It's controlled blackouts, which means we are actually in control of the situation. In other freaking countries, they just lose everything. In the US right now, their power stations are being attacked by idiots with rifles. They have 45,000 people have had their homes blacked out because power stations have been shut down because they were under attack. Who of you know about the attacks in the US on their power stations? The world has gone freaking mad, and energy is a big part of the global elite's plan to crush your little world that you've gotten used to and destroy it so that you are on your knees. In KwaZulu-Natal at the moment, 7 municipalities can't freaking pump water because it takes them an hour to get their water supply system up and running. And then they don't have enough time to freaking get water into the reservoirs for the consumption. It's a stuff up. If you literally cannot get enough supply of water to people out there, then you're going to have to drink from dams and rivers. If you have a dam or a river near you, most neighborhoods do have something like that. But that's your next bet. What if you can't run petrol pumps anymore and people can't drive to work? I have seen what stage 6 load shedding looks like in Cape Town when large areas robots are out. A 5-minute drive becomes a half an hour drive because I've timed it. Massively long queues of cars. People getting T-boned at robots because they don't treat it as a 4-way stop. I can carry on and on. Just know, people, that we seriously need to start speaking on social media, wherever you can. Speak to other people about the situation we find ourselves in. I'm giving you the technically accurate information because I know the grid. I know Eskom. I don't know why people would listen to some freaking radio DJ or listen to a person that was an analyst or a chartered accountant or a lawyer or whatever with regards to electricity supply in Eskom. It makes absolutely no sense to me because these people don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand volt amps reactive. They don't understand what it takes to transmit a whole lot of power over very long transmission lines with a capacitive uh, interference and how that affects the amount of megawatts you can deliver. So building all of these freaking things they want to build all over the bloody place and having to build transmission lines to all of these places, it's costing a fortune and the things aren't even available all of the time. It's utter insanity. We need more baseload. So how do you stabilize? Let me give you the solutions. Stabilizing is not going to fix things. Stabilizing is doing the best you can for what we have right now. Okay. Supply all these power stations and you make it mandatory with the best quality coal from any freaking mine. And you put a team out that goes and sources that coal and you take it to every flippin' Eskom station. The best coal we have so that the mills don't break, so that those boilers are more efficient so we don't lose that 6,000 megawatts anymore due to crappy coal or other crappy inefficiencies. Make sure that we can get the efficiency up. We can get rid of all of our stages of load shedding just by doing that. Then start doing maintenance on the coal-fired power stations. Don't shut any of them down. Komati was just shut down for a dinky toy solar power station. It's crazy. Why? If it can run, let it run to destruction while trying to maintain at the best you can. Get SWAT maintenance teams involved. Maintenance teams that are hit teams that travel from station to station to solve problems. And you give them powers to literally do and procure what they have to instantly to solve the problem. You give them special powers. You bliksem the red tape in the ocean where it belongs. Because we are way beyond that. The next thing is war. Okay. That is the next thing. You cannot keep a country civil if the entire country falls apart because of power. No, we're not there yet. And we can't get there. We cannot get there. If we can only start delivering 18,000 megawatts, the chances of a blackout becomes very high. We at the moment are at 23,000 plus megawatts. Thank goodness we are not in blackout territory at the moment. And then you would still need many other things to go wrong. So it's important to understand that at the moment we can still pull it through, but stabilize things. Then you don't need to run all the OCGT, the open cycle gas turbines at Garikwa and Ankerlig. You don't have to run them all the time. You keep those tanks full and you use it for emergencies only. At the moment, we're running it as freaking baseload. We're not running them for emergencies. You cannot fork out that amount of money. Eskom cannot afford it. The country cannot afford it. Where does that money come from? Taxpayers. It's impossible to afford it. We cannot. It's not difficult to stabilize the coal-fired power stations. They're a coal-fired power station, not a brick-fired power station or a gravel-fired power station. It's coal. So keep the flippin' best quality coal for those stations and make sure that you fill those coal yards with it. Make sure you keep it dry. Make sure you get it into the station with no flippant sabotage of conveyor belts or whatever. Put the freaking army at every flippant drive motor on that conveyor belt. Make them stand guard, for Pete's sake. What else are they doing? Give them something to do and make sure the coal gets into the mills. Listen, to smooth talk things is one thing. To actually take proper action is a different thing. If I had to be put in charge of Eskom right now, besides the fact that I'll probably be shot on the first freaking day, is I will stabilize things. Within 2 months, you will see a change. And I don't want that job. Andre the writer, I hope that you flip and listen to this. Because you're a legal person. You know bugger all about power generation. And that is the problem. We need someone with the skills necessary to do basic things right. Basic. Andre the writer has become a politician. You cannot have someone going to Earth summits and COP27s and whatnot. He's not a freaking politician. Or is he? Or is he? Tito Mboweni, your friend, from your last position, read between the lines. Tito Mboweni, that was the head of the board at Nampak, when you were CEO, your good friend, knew that just like you screwed up the shares at Nampak, you could screw up Eskom as well, while looking like you're doing it with a smile and that you have the best intentions in the world. I just have to say it as it is right now. And deal with the consequences, because this is what I'm going to need you to do now. I'm going to need you to deal with the consequences. Okay, I'm now going to have to deal with the consequences of everything I've just told you. But no one can argue against it. It is truth. I really want to thank the over 800 people that have joined this live stream, but we need thousands more to watch this. Thousands more. Stabilize the coal-fired power stations. The hydro stations are doing great. They've got good teams looking after them. We don't make money out of the hydro stations. They are peak capacity loading stations only. They should only run during peak hours. We need to keep Drakensberg above the emergency black start levels. Drakensberg can black start the power grid. So can Kuburg Nuclear Power Station. They are key to black start capability. Key. We only have one Kuburg unit running, the other one's undergoing outage. We have many units at Drakensberg. Any of them can black start the grid. This is important. So they need to keep their dam levels above the black start level so that it has enough water to black start the grid if something should go wrong. This is important. They speak about it in their press releases. So Eskom's not lying to you. They are telling it to you as it is. I gave you the history of how we got where we are now. And the ANC is fully to blame because they accepted the task of destroying the country from their puppet masters. So you should still take blame for it. But understand that this is a global issue and that there are global elites that want to destroy Eskom because then they have control of the country. They don't like the fact that we have become stronger and stronger South African citizens. It's a huge problem for them. The fact that we fought against many things the government did to us in the past 3 years, and that we have resisted certain things that I won't talk about in detail, the most of any country where it was fully available in the world. High five, people. The fact that you can actually say no if you don't want something and use your brain to make your own decisions. South Africans are unique, and we can stand up against this. It's going to be a tough fight to turn things around in Eskom right now and stabilize them, because we cannot improve it just like that. We can only stabilize. It's on one downward trend. So we need to stabilize that trend. We can't make it a lot better than what it is now, because most of these stations by 2030 would have had to shut down in any case. The type of breakdowns that are happening there, when you read the national control log, the type of breakdowns are things that show to you that the plant is old and the fact that the coal quality is crap. Inefficiency, bad quality coal. Boiler tube leaks. Bad quality coal also affects the boiler tubes. Coal-fired power stations having to ramp up and down all the time because of solar and because of wind. Breaks the boiler tubes. Breaks many other things, in fact. If you can just take that unit, run it up to 100% power and leave it there and let it supply that good base load that is demanded from many industries, then they will last much longer. But when did things get worse? When you started pulling these intermittent power supplies because of a global agenda everywhere in the country. That's when the crap started accelerating. And the whole world will be against me for saying this, but you will thank me in 20 or 30 years' time when all of that freaking facade would have run its course and be over with, and we have fusion energy. Because that's what's coming, people. And all of these wind turbines will stand there, bearings seized up or burnt out or completely screwed or just forgotten. And we will be seen as a stupid generation that built all that crap. And that's basically the end of it. So thank you very much for watching. If you come late into this live stream, please go and watch the beginning. Thank you very much for joining me. I didn't intend on this being this long, but I really want you to share this with as many people as possible. I don't care about the consequences right now, really. And I hope you don't either. Go and say what you need to say. Do what you need to do. We can't let this continue. And maybe the first thing we need to do is to get rid of the writer and put freaking someone there that will at least do the couple of things I've mentioned. But the government needs to do that. They need to say, flip, let's keep the best coal for the coal-fired power stations and make sure that that is not an issue. Put the freaking military there. This is something that you can declare an emergency over at those power stations. And an emergency should be declared at all the coal-fired power stations right now because of their performance. And then you get the military involved and you flip and park them, or the police park them at important sites to monitor and watch things. Let them patrol with the trucks that bring the coal to the stations, but make sure it's the best quality coal. The Guptas at least supplied good quality coal to the stations. Think about that. No one complained about the fact that when they were gone, all this crap stuff got worse and worse and worse. And the Guptas are nowhere to be seen. Have you ever asked yourself why? And people are fooled by the mainstream media and their narrative. Thank you so much for watching. Many of you might be confused by what I've put out there. Go and watch my Moments in Time and Question Everything series of videos if you want to know what this channel is about and why I know what I know. Moments in Time and Question Everything. Go to the playlist section on this channel, Double O Days, and go and watch those videos. Then you will understand what is actually happening. If you want to understand load shedding and many things like that, I have an entire playlist just focused on the power generation industry. That's how I started this channel until COVID-19 came along, and I certainly had to tell people about other things I was aware of. So if you're really interested, go and do that. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon to get notifications, and then share this with your friends and family. As many people as possible needs to see this. I really want to thank everyone that joined this live stream. We have over 800 people watching now. That is massive for South Africa. This is probably the largest live stream going down right now in the country on YouTube, and I want to thank you for that. And remember, share it. Just click the share arrow underneath. And if you want to join this channel as a member, you can click the join button, become a member every Thursday evening. We do live streams where we discuss these topics, why things are happening the way they are in the country. The previous week, we did the Bavarian Illuminati as an organization, their beginning and their end. And then in last week, we did the Bavarian Illuminati plan. And this coming week, you will see, I'll put out that thumbnail soon. I'll put out the link to the members live chat every Thursday evening at 8 o'clock. We have the live chat. And then if you want to become an interactive member, then you will be able to join once a month where we have a Zoom meeting and we actually have an interactive discussion with each other where we can really get into the detail of things. And then if you want to become a Double O Days meeting member, you will see that there are 3 meetings there. The one is over 7 hours long where I lay out the whole big picture. So if you want to go and join as a Double O Days meeting member, you'll be able to get all of those details there. And I really want to thank you for joining me here. And I'll take some questions now. If any of you have questions, but we are back in a fight, balls to the wall, people. This is not funny, really. So we're going to depend on you people. Yes, absolutely be careful what we ask for. We need stability in this country. We don't need destabilization. Any people that want to fight or whatever, you're not my friend. We absolutely can do things uh, without war. We don't need that in our lives. We need stability. It's very important that we maintain stability, and Eskom is very important for stability. Mark, um, they will listen to this. They will hear it. So just share it, people. Just share this. They will get to hear, and they can maybe stand with their freaking tails between their legs. And the thing is, people at my level from the industry that actually know what's happening with the grid, etc. The writer doesn't know the grid. He's not supposed to. He's supposed to run an organization. If he started at the bottom, he would at least know what he's dealing with, but he doesn't. He's politicking about renewables. That's what he's doing. And it has to end. It has to come to an end. Eskom cannot go and build freaking how many billions of rands worth of new power line. We should use the current power lines we have. We shouldn't build a long length of power line at all. It's not necessary. Eskom already in the past planned everything they needed to do. We can build one more nuclear power station up the west coast, one on the south coast. You have a proper anchor with Kuburg. You can build another 2-pack at Kuburg. In fact, you can build a 4-pack there. Then you have proper stable baseload. Then all you do is you maintain the current coal-fired power stations. You make sure that you fix up Medupi and Kusile. And then you can look at using solar in areas where you have good supply of solar that work with a coal-fired power station. Wind turbines are so intermittent. And if you look at the efficiency, etc., coming into this grid and the distance of power lines that you have to build, it is stupid. Absolutely stupid. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you will share this. Like this video, share this video. Only 390 people have liked this. If more people like it, we can get to 500 likes. It'll make a big difference in driving the algorithm. Videos like this, they're not popular when it comes to the YouTube algorithm, so only you can make the difference. Please hit that like button so that we can get the algorithm to drive this video to more people. Tiger's got a question. Those trucks running so dangerously on the N4, I've heard that the best coal is being transported to the US and Europe. Yep, but we know that. That's been happening for years. It's not something new. It's the first thing I need to let you know. Good quality coal has been leaving the country forever. The thing is, the coal-fired power stations in Eskom were designed to work with poorer quality coal, but not rocks and bricks, people. What we are being given now hasn't got proper calorific value. So rather give these stations the best quality immediately as a matter of urgency. That's the first thing we should do. Fix the efficiency problems. You should gain 6,000 megawatts. Say you only gain half of that, 3,000 megawatts. It's 3 stages of load shedding, just inefficiencies alone of units that are actually running. It's a no-brainer. No one has spoken about this. I don't know why. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, Phil had a question. Let's see quickly. There's suggestions for the types of action we as a public can take that will be effective in changing the situation. Phil, speak out as much as you can. Talk to as many people as you can. And tell the people we need system change and fast. If you can get the parliament to resign, and literally, no, it'll happen inevitably. In fact, what will happen when things start to crumble, if Eskom is allowed to go that far, the government will just be dissolved because you won't be able to control the public anymore. In other words, they won't be a government. It's that simple. So let as many people know on social media. Tell as many people as possible that you know. If each person can reach 10 people, already we would have reached 10,000 people. Because I can tell you now that more than 1,000 people have actually watched this video already. We've had a peak concurrence of over 800 people watching. So just try and reach 10 other people. And if those people speak to someone else, it'll make the difference in the end. One thing that I want to end off with is that Eskom is fully integrated right now with people that are working together in an awesome fashion. So we can move past this initial rubbish phase that was forced on people, that stopped a lot of them from transferring skills, because that's where the problem came in. If you don't get skills transfer in such an important industry, it cannot sustain itself. It cannot. You do need the knowledge of the grijsbaarde, the people that have been there for a very long time. In any industry, you need them. Fortunately, now a lot of the people that have come in then are becoming the grijsbaarde. The problem is that the skills and knowledge level cannot be the same because there wasn't an initial transfer. It doesn't mean that the people haven't picked up other skills and experiences, but you lost an entire generation. And that is sad. I never did that. I transferred all my skills as much as I could. And I'm doing it today still. And I'll never stop doing that. So, people, I know I was very frustrated and upset during this entire live stream. Go and watch the beginning. Please work your way through it. I don't want it to be longer than an hour. And I don't want the viewership to drop off too much, because then YouTube will think that everyone's lost interest. We have over 500 likes. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to say good night now. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for what you have already done in the country. If we can put massive pressure on government now to say, send the best coal to the power stations. Say that everywhere on social media. Put it out on Twitter, on Facebook, or whatever. I will actually write a list of things that should be done immediately. I'll write a list. My focus won't be corruption or any of that talk. It'll be technical. No one is focusing on the technical stuff. Nobody is focusing on that. And that is insane, because Eskom runs on technical expertise. It cannot run on politics. It cannot run on Pravin Gordon saying that Eskom is sabotaging the country because we're in stage 6 load shedding. He commands us to come out of it. You can't freaking do that, Pravin Gordon. It's a bloody machine. If it's off and the grid is not at 50 hertz, we need to load shed more. That's normal, so that there's no blackout. Now, if he wasn't that dumb to not understand that, then he could actually help the situation. But he should stop when it comes to understanding the grid. He shouldn't be there. We should be gutful of these people and don't attack just the African National Congress. Attack the people in the African National Congress. I believe there's people there that understand the problem, that are trying to tackle it. The factions are fighting each other like you can't believe. And in the end, they'll probably just end up eating each other alive. That's just a matter of saying. I don't know how that is going to end up. What we need to keep on focusing on is what we do to prepare ourselves to literally be without electricity. Because that's inevitably where we are headed. Either that, or we have to get rid of all our industry. So that's the last thing I want to leave you with. Either you have load shedding and then you also get load reduction, or a combination of both. So load shedding or load reduction, or a combination of both. So they can ask industry to just not put loads on the grid. The other day, we were actually way above stage 6 because they had already asked industry to take load off. They weren't shed. They asked the industry to take load off. So we had taken off at that stage way more than 7,000 megawatts. And that's what the public don't know. But there was actually an article that spoke about it. I'll give you the link to the article. Go and read it. They're not 100% accurate, but it's one of the better ones that I've seen, where they explain the fact that industry was asked to do load reduction and while the public is being load shedding, you can't control. Someone goes and flips a breaker, okay, and you don't have power. Your power's gone. Load reduction is where industry is asked to reduce their load, and they do it voluntarily. So go and read that article. You'll see what the difference is. I really want to thank you for watching. We have 549 likes. Maybe we can get it up to 600 likes. And remember, share the living daylights out of this. And I will live with the repercussions. I've done it before. It might not be easy repercussions to live with. I don't know what I'm going to have to face tomorrow, but this had to get out there, and hopefully it'll put some shock into people so that they act. And social media, there's so many people spending time on social media. You can, on social media, make a huge difference. Be a social media influencer. Use Twitter, use Facebook, use WhatsApp, whatever, and say, why don't we supply the best quality coal to these power stations so they can be more efficient? Did you know that 6,000 megawatts are lost, 6 stages of load shedding due to inefficiencies in our coal-fired power stations? Tell that to the world. In the end, the media needs to pick up on that. They can't ignore it forever, and they have to ask questions. Maybe mail media houses, even although you might not trust them, bombard them with this question. Tell them to ask the president why he's not putting out a directive for good quality coal to go to all the coal-fired power stations so they can run efficiently. Ask that. Don't just depend on me for a list. I can go and write a list. Go and use what I have just said and do your own thing. I will compile a list when I want to. Stop depending on someone else, please. Initiate yourself. I initiated this channel myself. I initiate many things myself, and then other people can carry on with it. Always make sure that people don't depend on me. So don't depend on me for a list. I've given a lot of things. This recording will remain on the channel forever as long as YouTube exists. So you can comb through it again and go and look at those simple suggestions. So the main thing is you don't lose any more skills. You make sure that you stabilize the loss of skills from Eskom by giving people incentives. The next thing you do is you make sure that you give the best quality coal to the coal-fired power stations. You make sure that you extend Kubik's life by 20 years because it's the best power station in the Eskom fleet. You also make sure that any political appointees are ripped out of Eskom immediately and replaced with people that have worked in the industry for decades and put them in senior positions. Do that immediately. The Eskom board is pointless. I see no reason for a board because you need technical people to make proper decisions. These people are flippant politicians. They are wasting everyone's time. So just get involved and do your bit. Thank you very much. I'm going to say goodnight now. It's over an hour. Thank you for being with me for so long. And if you haven't watched the beginning of the video, please go and watch it so you can see the phases that Eskom had to go through. And what the effects were of the decisions that people made back then to get their fat bonuses for meeting BEE targets. And I'm completely against anything that uses color. I'm completely against it. I believe that color shouldn't be seen. It should be a person's name, and that's it. And we should move past using color, the magazines using color, the politicians using color. It is sickening. It is so divisive. So people, thank you very much for joining me. Good night.